So can we start?
Yes.
We are live, yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to our GATS tutoring information session for this year. So this is part one of our series Pathways to College. So we are going to be doing more sessions like this. So before we dive into the session, I just want to give you a quick walkthrough about the agenda. Okay, so I'll first start with the introduction to GATS and the GATS tutoring program. Oh, by the way, my name is Kritika Bharati and I'm the GATS president for this year. So following me will be Mrs. Mithun Baliga. She will be starting the information session. She is a volunteer for the GATS tutoring program this year. And then we'll begin the actual session wherein the students from the GATS tutoring program will conduct the session and our guest speakers will provide you all the required information. And finally, we'll end with a thank you note from Mr. Sendil Karpana. He's our GATS Youth Subcommittee lead from the general body. Okay, so just a quick history about our GATS. For those of you who are new, GATS is a non-profit organization called Greater Atlanta Tamil Sangam, and it was founded in 1981 to promote culture, charity, and Tamil education. So prior to 2002, it was called Georgia Tamil Sangam, GTS, and in 2002, it was registered in state of Georgia as a non-profit organization, and that's when we got this name GATS, Greater Atlanta Tamil Sangam. So ever since it was started, now we have expanded the wings to include so many other areas, which includes like medical, youth, technology, and much more. So these are some of the significant ones, and that's why I just mentioned that. And approximately we have like 1,500 to 2,000 individual members. Okay, so moving along. Next, I would like to talk to you about the GATS tutoring program. So I take great privilege in saying that I initiated this program in 2019. So as part of the youth committee, we had to come up with some initiative for the education wing, and that's when we started this program. So if you're wondering what is GATS tutoring program, it's basically a free tuition service. Like you might go to Kumon or any other place, but here high school students offer tutoring services from middle school, from elementary school, middle school, and even to high school students. So we started this program back in 2019, September. And after that, initially it was an in-person program. And in 2019, we had like 25 students. And slowly, as we progressed over the years, we are now a group of 214 children in this group. And when COVID hit us, we took a 2 months break, but it was a blessing in disguise. We were able to have more students through Zoom. So in that way, we have expanded our program and we are able to service a lot more students. So this program is run twice a week. One is on Thursdays and the other day is on Saturday. Children can come to either one of the sessions or both sessions. And apart from that, we also have the ad hoc tutoring program because some students, if they have exams like on Tuesday or like some other day, like before the regular tutoring sessions, then they can request for ad hoc tutoring sessions and get help as needed. So if you're wondering, like, what are all the subjects they teach here? It's just about anything, like the school subjects. And apart from that, like project help, test help, and much more. And if you see some students, they do not learn Spanish in school, but still they come here to learn that as an extra item. And the highlight of this program is so far we've been very successful in having this program open to all children. We have not required membership to be part of this program, and there is no tuition fee involved. Apart from this tutoring sessions, what other things the students do are like they provide information sessions like the one you're seeing right now. We typically try to do it like once in 2 months. Sometimes if there are exams or something, we tend to take a little longer, but that is something we do. And we also partner with the industry experts to bring like good quality information to you. I hope I'm not going too fast. I'm trying to rush a little bit so that you all will have enough time for the speakers to interact with the speakers. Okay. So the other initiatives that we started doing from last year is the SAT coaching. That has been a very successful program. We have not started that yet for this year, but very soon we will be doing it. One of our chief mentors in that group is Adi Krish. He's one of our MC today. So we are waiting for his schedule. And once he's ready, we'll be kickstarting that program soon. And then we also involve students in creating web pages, like our GATS website. If you see, like, it still needs a lot of work. That is one of our initiatives this year. So we'll be partnering with students to get that updated. And one important aspect about the GATS tutoring program is that if you see, this is completely a student-led program now. The first 2 years is when it was initiated. I was hand-holding it and I was doing stuff. But now it doesn't require any adult assistance at all. The students in this program, they have like different subcommittees and they take that in rotational basis and they completely operate this program. Rain or shine, they just go through the schedule and it works like a well-oiled machine. So on behalf of all of you, I just want to say thanks to the students who are working in the GATS tutoring program. Moving along, if you're wondering if you want your children to get enrolled in this, you might wonder what the benefits are. So as a mentor, I would say that definitely the first thing that they would get is the personal satisfaction of giving back to the community. And the next thing is, of course, volunteer hours for the time they spend in teaching. And last year, we had the opportunity to provide US Presidential Award through GATS. So that is like the cherry on the cake. So it's an extra thing that students really feel motivated to go for. On a side note, it is just open for green card holders and US citizens only based on the number of hours they work. But I would say, like in my personal experience, I see that students are not just working for the award. They take it like really serious and they're very passionate about it. So I just feel very fortunate to be working with this great set of people. So moving along to the benefits on the mentee side, yes, they get unlimited one-on-one tutoring and of course, free quality education. I'm not going to go through all these bullets. Okay, so here are some pictures from our GATS tutoring program. These were taken like a couple of years back. It all started with this one picture. This was our very first meeting. And just want to point out here, this person here is Renisha. She's one of our guest speakers here. She has been there from the beginning of this program. So now I'm so happy that we are able to call her as a guest speaker. And then here is a picture of our team members. I'm not able to get all our 200 plus students in this, but just a sample of our group. And then finally, if you would like to enroll your students in this program, you can always reach out to us at GATS-tutoring@gatamilsangam.org. And then we have the mentor sign up link and the mentee sign up link. Okay, and I have mentioned a lot about the tutoring program, but other than that, in our GATS youth committee, there are a lot more things that are going on, and tutoring is just a part of it. So if you see in our general GATS youth committee, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities for high school students and also middle school students. Like whenever we have like in-person events, middle school students come and help us in the program. And if you see, like other than volunteering, what else your students can benefit from is, and one example I can say is the GATS boot camp. So this was initiated in 2020, and last year it was a very successful program. So during the summer, we had like around 50 students join each session. So in case you're wondering what to do to engage your kids during summer, you don't have to worry at all. Our GATS Youth Committee will be doing bootcamp sessions, offering various programs like painting, chess, cooking, and all that. So stay tuned for more information. And if you need to contact someone regarding that, my teammate Vatsala is in charge of the GATS Youth Committee. You can reach out to her at this email address, youthcommittee@gatamilsangam.org. And then we have the GATS Youth Band. This was also an initiative that was started last year. So unlike singing and dancing, GATS Youth Band requires a lot of coordination. So each student does their own things, but to get them all coordinated and perform one unified song, it's really a huge effort. So that effort is being coordinated by our by my teammate Sangeeta, and the email address to reach her is youthband@gatamirsangam.org. And next we have the GATS dance team that is being coordinated by Nandini. Right now I have not mentioned the correct email address here, but it's gatsdance@gatamirsangam.org. So please make note of that. So this committee is where you can enroll your kids to perform in the various Tamil Sangam programs. For example, we have Pongal, Diwali, Muttamil Vira and all that. So in case you're wondering, where do I join my kid to perform there? You don't have to look further at all. We will take care of it. Just enroll in this group and we'll take it forward from there. And next, I would like to talk about the GATS internship program. So last year we did a pilot program and it was pretty successful. We just did a small batch of 5 students to see how it would work. So this year we are going to extend it to a lot more like students who've been working with us for quite some time. So regarding that, you can contact my teammate Pungudi, or you can reach out to me as well. For that, you can use the same email address, contact@gatamirsangam.org or gatsinternship@gatamirsangam.org. Okay. And when I talk about the internship, I have a request to the audience. If any one of you here own a business, or you're part of a company that provides internship, or you have some other contacts to bring internship opportunities, please reach out to us. We would like to have your help to give internship opportunities to our students. Okay, and next is the GATS tutoring program. As I already mentioned, you can reach out to this email address. Of course, I've mentioned my name as a contact here, but it's all the students who are running this program, so I will pass it along to them. And for any general queries, you can reach out to contact@gatamirsangam.org. Sorry, I took a lot of time in this, but I hope you have got all the contacts to reach out the right people. So with this, I will turn it over to Mithun Balika. She is a volunteer this year for the GATS tutoring program. So I've requested her to help out specifically in coordinating the information sessions. So thank you so much, Mithun, for being available today. I know that you have some personal things going on with your child, like he is not feeling well, but in spite of that, you have taken time to come and help us today. So thank you very, very much.
Vanakkam and welcome to everybody. My name is Mithun. So welcome to the first of a series that we are doing, which is called Pathways to College. So our aim is to repeat this. So there will be multiple sessions. Today is our first session. We would aim to do it once every 2 months. So in case you find that I didn't gather all the information I need by the end of today, or if you have to log off early, do not worry. We will have multiple such sessions every 2 months. Okay. So let me give a quick overview so the actual event can get started. So today we have 4 interesting speakers who are going to talk to you about their individual stories, their pathways, their pathway to where they are right now. Okay. So they're going to be guided, and the whole program is going to be led by 2 of our very talented MCs. One is Shreya Sendalkumar, and then the other is Adi Krish. Okay. While the speakers are speaking, please hold your questions. Each speaker will speak for about 20 minutes. So that will be their free speech. They will speak. Please hold your questions till the end. When the 4th speaker is done speaking, then there will be a Q&A session. Feel free to put all your questions in the chat. We have 2 moderators who are monitoring the chat, who will put together the questions and ask them to the speakers on your behalf. And those 2 moderators are Arya and Sushant. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our MCs to take on from here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Adi. Just one small correction. Our MCs are Adi and Shreya today. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for attending today's session. And in today's information session, our speakers will be talking about college and career fields, as well as their own life and professional experiences. I'm Adi Krish. I'm a junior at Lambert High School, and I'll be one of your MCs today.
I'm Shreya Kumar. I'm a junior at West Forsyth High School, and I will also be emceeing today. During any time of this session, if you have a question, please post them in the chat, either in Zoom or YouTube, so we do not disturb the speakers during their presentation. During the session, we will be collecting these questions, and at the end, our moderators, Shashant and Arya, will be asking these questions to our panel.
And so today's first speaker is going to be Mr. Keshav Anand. He's a geotech student with a major in physics and concentrating in astrophysics. He aspires to be a flight director at NASA. And Keshav is a fourth-year physics major focusing on astrophysics at Georgia Tech. He participates in multiple research groups in both astrophysics and robotics. He's also a musician in his spare time, competing and teaching outside of college hours. He'll be speaking about his experience at Georgia Tech, and welcome, Keshav, and thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you. So yeah, a little bit more about me. Like you said, I'm a fourth-year astrophysics major at GT. I transferred from GSU to Georgia Tech. I went to GSU for my first year of college and then transferred to GT on my second year. I'm a professional musician and a teacher. I teach for high schoolers outside of college hours, and I also I also compete on the national level in multiple different instruments. So about my time in high school, I guess that's a good place.
Keshav,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Could you please turn on your video?
I have a video running. Is it not showing?
Okay. Is it showing for the rest of you?
It is not.
Yes, I can see him.
I think you have to
Yeah,
finish
Keshav,
video.
Yeah, I had to set up two cameras. I'm here.
Okay. Somehow it's me. Sorry to interrupt. Please proceed.
That's all
You
good.
can pin his video. It's like showing up in the little screen.
Yeah, I'm
Not
up.
the big
I'm
one.
up above.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so about my high school career. I started out high school my first 2 years struggling a little bit because it was a new experience for me. My GPA wasn't the best, and I was generally on a pretty rough path. And I realized that things needed to change. More about that later. And going through my second 2 years of high school, I brought my GPA up. I did much better in high school and was able to get to where I am now. So when I graduated high school, my GPA wasn't the best. It was around a 3.6. I only took the SAT coming out of high school. I took it twice. The first time I got a 1420. The second time I got a 1470. I took 7 AP courses through high school, ranging from AP Psychology to AP Calculus to AP Physics. Mostly courses that I knew would be applied to my major later on. In high school, I did many extracurricular activities, such as marching band. I did that in the fall, and then I did something called indoor percussion in the spring, which were my two main extracurriculars. I also did concert band and percussion that way as well. Coming to college, after I applied to a few places, I applied to UGA, Georgia Tech, and GSU. I ended up choosing GSU because I got a conditional acceptance to Georgia Tech my first year, and they had me go there first. So coming to college, I started out in GSU, and I didn't do too much extracurricular there other than just marching band and my normal activities. And I really focused on academics. Coming to GT, though, I knew that I wanted to get more involved. And so now I do powerlifting. I compete as a powerlifter. I teach music to high schoolers and try to give back to the community that I came from. And I also, like they said, work with 2 research opportunities in tech outside of my time. One working with robotics to do some music and robot interfacing. And then I also am working with building a telescope for GT. So in my path to get to where I am, starting from high school to here, my first 2 years, they didn't go too well. And I think that was mostly a me thing. I just didn't focus the way I wanted to, or I didn't really know how to apply myself going into high school. And it took a couple years for me to realize what I needed to do and how to find my stride. That for me was just a personal thing of realizing that where I wanted to go just needed a certain work and a different way of learning, which I just hadn't cultivated for myself yet. I'm sure by this point, most high schoolers listening to this have probably found that for themselves or have an idea of what they need to do in order to get good grades. So the grade side of things, hopefully by now for most of us, has been pretty resolved. I think that for me, the thing that, let me rephrase that. I think that what I had to do to get into college is going to be a little different from a lot of people just because of the way that my grades were put together. For instance, I got denied from UGA because my grades were just so low compared to everyone else that applied that year. However, my test scores and my extracurricular activities, I found really set me apart from a lot of the students who applied around me. So even though some people had better grades than I did, I just had more extracurricular activities and I made myself a more unique person by doing those things. More on that later though. So when I applied, I got denied from UGA, I got a conditional to GT, and I got accepted into GSU. So I went straight to GSU for my first year and did a year there, mainly focusing not on just getting grades or getting things done, but focusing on what I needed to take to be able to get to Georgia Tech the next year. So I really focused on making sure that I took the math classes that I needed, took any classes that I knew I didn't want to take going into the harder college so that I could get a better GPA there. Excuse me. And so that worked out and I was able to transfer to GT, knocking out a few of the classes I knew that I did not want to take when I got here. And I left the classes that were closest related to the thing that I wanted to pursue. So I took classes like calculus and English, things like that, core classes, and got those out of the way so that when I got to GT, I could focus on purely taking as much physics as I could and learning the thing that I wanted to major in. So now that I am here, that's really what I've been focusing on, is taking classes that are related to my major and really focusing on continuing to cultivate what I already have been. What made me unique then isn't something that I wanted to just give up because it's something that has become personal to me and something that I enjoy. And if you're looking to get into something like grad school, that's also something that I think is important, is continuing to cultivate whatever made you unique in the first place. So that's what I've done. Some advice for how to go about getting into college for for high schoolers that are a little worried about it. I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to apply anywhere. The worst that can come out of an application is just the college replying to you and saying no. So it's always worth, if you have the time, it's always worth applying to everywhere that you want to go, even if the chance is something small. For me, I thought the chance that I was going to even get into GT was small. So I almost didn't apply, but now I'm very thankful that I did since it got me here where I am today. So if you're looking at applying to something like Cornell or Harvard or any of the UCLA, stuff like that, I would say go ahead and do it because you never know. The worst that they could do is say no, but you might get a conditional acceptance. You might even just get accepted because of some trait that makes you unique. So more on that, I also think for a high schooler, it's very important to choose some extracurricular activity that enriches you and helps you kind of have some variety in your life. I think that one of the pitfalls that a lot of people fall into nowadays are that just focusing and grinding and only doing academic work. I think that academics are obviously very important, being where I am, but I think that in order to, especially to get into college, every person out there right now who is applying to these really high-level colleges, everybody's going to have great grades, everyone's going to have great test scores just coming in. That's just going to be a fact. I think the thing that will differentiate people from others is what they do outside of that. So if you can maintain your grades and do well there, and then also choose an extracurricular activity that enriches you and it's something that you can cultivate, I think that's very good in order to make yourself different and make yourself unique. On that same note, don't let that extracurricular activity take away from what you've done academically. I struggled with that for my first couple of years. I chose marching band and indoor percussion as my two extracurriculars, and I let that take away from my grades for my first 2 years of high school. Once I got to my junior year and so on, and forward from there, I figured out how to handle that for myself and how to continue getting the grades that I wanted while also doing the extracurriculars that I wanted to do. And once I figured that out, it led to me getting my conditional acceptance. So I think that doing some extracurricular activity that enriches you is really important to make sure that you stand out from everybody else. Another thing that I think is important for high schoolers especially is to be your own advocate coming into college. If you can, I would reach out to professors that teach at the place that you're at and try to get your name in there. Ask them if you can come by and like talk to them at some point, get some advice, anything like that. I talked to a professor at GSU when I applied there about what I needed to do for my pathway to get to GT and on from there. I think that it's a very important thing to build those connections now. So if in the future you end up going there, you have a connection at that college that can help you and be your advocate. Or if you go somewhere else, you still have another connection there that you can use, maybe a colleague in the future. In the short term, though, being your own advocate is important in, for example, your college essays. One of the things that I really prided myself on was having a very strong college essay that I sent to GT when I applied through the application. You don't have a lot of words to sell your story, and condensing everything that you've experienced in the past 18 years of your life into one little 500-word essay is a lot harder than one may think it is when you apply. So make sure that you really sell yourself and you really tell whoever is reading your essays about yourself and give them a good idea of who you are. Because a lot of people will just assume that because they have good test scores and because they have good grades, they're just going to get into the college. Yeah, but it's very important knowing that when you when you apply to like UGA or Georgia Tech, there are tens of thousands of other applicants. So you have to make sure that you stand out in some way with your essays and with your extracurriculars. A little advice for parents as well, parents of high schoolers. Try to cultivate and enrich your child's choice of extracurricular activity. It is important that they get their outlet from academics. If they don't, there is a tendency I've seen a lot of my own personal friends, it's happened to me, there's a tendency for just doing purely academics to be a detrimental experience to their mental health. So give your child the freedom to choose an activity and help them cultivate that and nurture it. It's a good thing for them to be good at something outside of school, because once they graduate and once they go to college and come out of there, they need some other activity to maintain. Grades and being able to study well won't carry you when you're in the workforce. So they definitely need to be able to do something else marketable or anything else that will help their mental health once they graduate. It's good to cultivate that from high school so that they're comfortable with it. I think that it's also important for parents to help your child, not only through like letting them choose things like that, but also just be supportive of whatever their decisions are that they've made. So if they want to apply to a certain college, if they want to do a certain major, it's a good idea for them to be realistic about what they choose. So if they're choosing like for example, if I were to choose a music major, my parents would have supported it, but they would have been also very honest about the realistic possibilities of me making a living during that. So be supportive, but also help them be realistic about what they choose. Everyone is going to be trying to apply for certain majors, but if your child is very interested in one specific thing and they really want to pursue that and there is money to be made there, I think it's important to be able to, or for that child to be able to do what they want. For me, I chose physics when I was in middle school. Coming into 6th grade, I think I saw like one picture of the moon and I decided that's what I want to do when I graduate. So my parents could have easily told me, no, we don't want you to do that. Go do CS, go do something else. But instead, they cultivated that and they let me experience all of that stuff. I have a telescope. I do stuff with space now at college, and it's become the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. And if they didn't give me that space to decide that I want to do that, gave me the freedom to choose that, then I wouldn't be able to do it today. I wouldn't be having the time that I'm having in college. In that same vein, they let me experience, even though my grades suffered, they let me continue doing the 2 extracurricular activities that I chose. And those have turned into actual jobs for me. I get paid to now go back and help my community and teach. And without them giving me that freedom, I wouldn't be able to do that today. So I think that that's probably my biggest thing that I would tell parents is give your child the freedom, give them some space. So yeah, that's pretty much my story. That's how I got from where I was in middle school to high school, coming in with a pretty weak start to my high school and finishing strong. And that leading me to then transferring to going to GSU, coming to GT, and now I'm going to graduate GT soon in the fall. So yeah.
Thank you so much for all the valuable information, Keshav.
Our next speaker is Renisha Ram Vrakash. She's a first-year astrophysics major at UGA Honors College, and she serves as a mission specialist at a small satellite research laboratory. She is currently a researcher under the assistantship of the Center of Undergraduate Research Opportunities. Welcome, Renisha.
Thank you for having me, Shreya. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Renisha Ram Vrakash. I'm currently a first-year astrophysics major and mathematics minor at the University of Georgia Honors College. So this LinkedIn just shows all the activities that I did in high school. I won't go in depth about it. So first of all, I would like to start off by saying that my college decision process was very difficult to make. So I had to weigh down many factors. I actually applied for 12 universities my senior year of high school. I was accepted by 6 of them and rejected by the other 6. So my senior year of high school, I was accepted into astrophysics at the University of California, Berkeley, astronomy at the University of Texas honors program, astrophysics at the University of Georgia Honors College, and astrophysics at Agnes Scott College, which is a private women's college here in Georgia, and astronomy at the University of Arizona, and space and earth exploration at Arizona State University. And I was waitlisted at Emory for physics and astronomy, and I was also waitlisted at Georgia Tech for physics. So what I learned in high school was that some schools like Tech weighed more statistics like GPA and SAT and ACT scores, while schools like Berkeley looked at more extracurriculars. So I had a lot of involvement in extracurriculars and had several leadership positions and had research experience in high school more than having extraordinary test grades, which helped me get into schools like UC Berkeley and UT Austin honors. So many people around me asked me why I declined these top tier schools like Berkeley and UT Austin. And now I got in as a summer transfer at GT for mathematics, which I am again declining. And people told me that my family and I are dumb for making such a decision. But that is not necessarily true, as my parents and I had a lot of factors in making such a big college decision. And I definitely have no regrets being a student pursuing astrophysics at the University of Georgia right now. I would look back sometimes, but I am happy in the place I am today. So the first factor that weighed down my college decision was my major. So for instance, Georgia Tech does not offer an actual astrophysics degree. They call it physics with a concentration of astrophysics, but does not provide emphasis on the astronomy courses, while University of Georgia offers both astrophysics and physics. So in the end, it's simply a matter of like what field and what you really specifically want to do. So I chose to do astrophysics at UGA, which leads into my future goals as being another factor for my college decision. So I believe that getting a degree as an astrophysics major more than just physics will help me lead to more opportunities in the same field, as I want to go to grad school and earn my PhD in astronomy or astrophysics and work as a researcher and a professor in a university. And money also played an important role in choosing UGA. Even though UC Berkeley and UT Austin are the top schools for the astrophysics and astronomy programs, I chose to stay in an astrophysics program at UGA that is less reputed than the other schools because I did not want to end in debt. when I'm pursuing grad school, as Georgia offers reasonable scholarships such as the Zell Miller Scholarship and the Hope Scholarship, which is like a full ride scholarship that most other states like Texas and California do not offer, as they are very expensive. And another question for my college decision was, would I want to be in a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond? So I wanted the chance to stand out and make deep professor connections in a small physics department that will be an advantage to me when it comes to letter of recommendations when I'm applying to graduate school. So I believed I would be able to get a higher GPA and thrive better at UGA's environment compared to Georgia Tech's large physics department, in which I will have high competition to get opportunities, being pressured to achieve my goals in a world of competition. So everything at GT would be harder and more difficult for the reputed degree when graduating, but grad schools do not care where you went to college as long as you have a solid GPA, which I knew would be harder for me to get if I went to GT. So in the end, when I talked to professors and upperclassmen during my senior year of high school, I realized that where you go doesn't matter as long as you make the most of the opportunities and make deep connections with the faculty at the place you are studying. So some extracurriculars about where I stand today as a college freshman studying astrophysics is that I'm a research assistant at the University of Georgia's Center for Undergraduate Research Opportunities, where I work with the head of the Department of Physics and Astronomy, where I was paid $1,000 for the year. And I presented at the Cura Symposium this spring. And I will also be continuing with this research for next year as well. I can explain more about my research. You can just contact me. I'm also a mission specialist for the Small Satellite Research Laboratory, where I work with the team working for the MOCHI satellite. And MOCHI stands for Multi-View Computational Onboard Imager. And they've sent a satellite last year, which was called Spock. And they're working on 2 more missions. So I work with a lot of engineers and computer science students there in the research lab. And some leadership, besides just focusing on my major, is that I'm on the Bharatanatyam dance team and am an ambassador for Experience UGA, which is community service. And also I'm an honors student at UGA. So since I'm already settled with these opportunities here at UGA, I do not have a guarantee that I will be able to do research at GT, as I will have to dip my feet from the beginning, losing the connections that I already have here at UGA if I transfer. That's why I chose UGA over tech. So this quote just wraps up everything I said by Ralph Emerson, who high school juniors will learn about in AP US history. So it's not the destination, it's the journey. This relates to what university you end up in does not matter. It's what you do along the way that matters. So that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Renisha. Your experience in the astrophysics program and the process program and opportunities that you explained today, I'm sure helped a lot of people as it helped me.
Thank you.
Please remember that during any time of the session, if you have a question, post them in the chat, either in Zoom or on YouTube, so we do not disturb the speakers during their presentation. During the session, we will be collecting these questions, and at the end of the session, our moderators, Shashant and Arya, will ask these questions to our panel. Also, we'll be shortly sending a link to gather feedback of our session.
So our next speaker is Dr. Sneha Rajendran. She's a doctor residency in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she went to college at the University of Pittsburgh and medical school at Vanderbilt University. And she's going to discuss the lifestyle as a resident physician and how to get involved in college as a pre-med. Please welcome Dr. Sneha Rajendran, and thank you so much for being here.
I'm sorry,
She
yes,
was
Dr.
to be joined at 4 p.m., right? So I think it may be 10 minutes ahead of our schedule. So she should be here by 4. I think she's in the hospital now. I'm not sure if she's already joined.
Okay, so in that case, Adi, how about you ask Ritvik if he's ready?
Hey, hello, Ritvik. Do you think you can speak now?
I can speak.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ritvik Kopaka. I'm currently a student in Augusta University's BSMD program. So they have a 7-year program, and I am in the 3rd year, which means that in the upcoming fall, I will be going through med school. So I started my schooling at Milton High School, and my journey was very academically focused, but I did also do a bunch of different extracurricular activities in high school. And I think that kind of, it had its pros and it had its cons. So I'll start from freshman year and sophomore year. So those 2 years, I didn't really do like a lot in terms of like AP classes. I only took 2 AP classes in those 2 years, and all together in high school, I took around 7 or 8. My SAT score was a 1510, and my ACT score was a 35. And those are both like my second attempts. As for extracurriculars, I was in high school, I was in band, and I was also in Science Olympiad. I was on the academic bowl, and I did most of my extracurriculars actually in Latin club. So I went to state conferences for Latin Club, and I also went to a summer program that I'm sure many high schools are familiar with, the Georgia Governor Honors Program, GHB. I went to that for Latin as well. So in general, when I was applying for colleges, I applied to 12 colleges, very much like Renisha. However, I got rejected by 9 of them and got into 3 main colleges in Georgia. I got into UGA, I got into the Augusta program, and I got into Georgia Tech. Now, as for the reasoning behind why I probably got rejected from the colleges, I think one of the biggest things was my misconception when I was applying to colleges. So one of them is whenever I was thinking like, oh, I want to do pre-med, I want to be a pre-med major. Oh, so I have to apply as a biology major. There's no other major I can apply as. That was the misconception I had. Remember, if you're trying to go for pre-med, you don't have to be a biology major. You can be any major you want to be when you're applying. And when you're in school and you're actually taking your classes, you can choose a pre-med track. So for example, I had a lot of awards, and I was a very good student in Latin, and I had a lot of accolades in that field. However, I didn't apply as such. I applied as a biology major. And so trying to really boost my credit as like a biology major, or like why I would want to study biology at these universities, it's a lot more difficult, especially when you're going up against other students in my own school and other schools who have done a lot more and have a lot more awards in that biology field. Now, another thing that Renisha said that really resonated with me, because I also felt the same, was it also is very important to parents and students that where you go for undergrad, it is important in terms of what kinds of opportunities you have access to, but it does not define your experience, because what makes your experience and what you can go to any college, especially like the Medical College of Georgia, it's not like it's all the students are coming from, big name universities like UGA and Tech. Like there are some that are coming from smaller universities like University of North Georgia. It's sort of what you do in your undergraduate year and what you do at the school that you go to that really makes a difference. Sorry, I keep jumping around. Okay, so where was I? So when I had my 3 choices, I had Georgia Tech, UGA, and the Augusta program. So for me personally, I was debating between these 3 because I was like, okay, these are the schools that I'm going to go to, but which one would be the best for me? Well, if I went to UGA, I know for sure that I would be drowned out because UGA is a big school. And for me personally, I love that interaction between student and teacher, especially in smaller schools. So I knew that UGA would not be the best choice for me, especially going for pre-med. Then on the other hand, we had Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is extremely difficult for pre-meds. It's notoriously known that if you are a pre-med at Georgia Tech, it can be really, really difficult to keep up your GPA, which is a very important factor when you are applying to medical schools. Now, I knew that I was, pretty decently smart, but I did not know how much that could keep up, especially if I went to an engineering school like Georgia Tech. And then the Augusta program, it was like a shining light, like a ray, like a path just opened up. if I was in this program, it would not only be a very good program that was like smaller school. So that means I have more interactions with my peers. I can talk to them more. I can potentially research with them. But it also puts me in a class full of peers who all have the same goal in mind, to go to medical school. In addition, we have 3 years undergrad, 4 years medical school. That's 1 year less of tuition that I have to pay. And if I were to do this pathway, it's a straight path to a medical degree. And so I think that was one of the major factors in me going to Augusta University. Now, I didn't do a tour of Augusta University, and I think that it is important when you are choosing the college that you go to do a tour, because something that is very important in general when you're going to these colleges and visiting them is thinking, do I see myself here? Is this a place that I can thrive? Now, I came to Augusta University straight. I just came straight to Augusta University. I had never seen it before, never toured it. And it was a little bit more difficult for me to adjust to the climate and the overall university. But what was I going to say? But in general, something that's like really good about the program is that, again, all of our classes are chosen for us. And so it's like a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because we don't have to worry about scheduling or like running for schedules and like competing against other people for classes. But you don't get as much freedom per se in the classes that you choose. You only get a certain select few classes that you can choose outside of the program track. Let me see what else. Okay, so some other things that I think were really beneficial in, especially if you're trying to go into medical school and pre-med and trying to go down that track, is if you're a high school student and you just stay in your high school and you focus only on academics, again, it's something that like a lot of colleges will think, oh, well, they don't really know that much about like the world. They don't know that much about this field. Because again, medicine is a difficult field. It is, I am being tried and tested every single day in this program. It is not super easy. It is pretty difficult. But the thing that lets me get through this program, the thing that lets me move forward in this program is my motivation to do medicine. And now the reason why I found that motivation was because in high school, I did a lot of medical related activities. So I volunteered at the Ronald McDonald House Charity. So I got to meet with patients and I got to, cook food for them. I also volunteered at the Tama Medical Clinic, so the Telugu Association of Metro Atlanta. So they had like a free clinic that was going on and I would go and volunteer there. And there I could get a little bit, some basic experience, albeit in like the medical field and like seeing patients, doing blood tests and getting, reading their blood pressure. And I also did, with the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, I did one of their Explorer programs. So this program would allow me to meet with like doctors and other nurses and more people in the healthcare field and really get an idea of what is the effort and what are the things, the difficulties, the benefits of being in the medical field. And all of these together have helped me to like, I think show that like, I do know about this medical field. I know that this is something that I want to do. And as such, like, I would be prepared. Because another thing about this program is that this program is binding. Now, if it's very, very difficult for a high school student to 100% know for sure they want to do medical school. But if you do, then this program is one of the greatest programs that you could do. Because when you're going into this program, in my year specifically, 6 people have already dropped out. So in the other years around me, like there have been maybe 1 or 2 people that drop out, but in my year, there have been 6. And many of those, the reasons why they dropped out was because they didn't want to do medical school. And that's something that's like a big thing. It's like, one of the things, it's like, you have to make sure that your motivation is there. If you believe and you know that this is a field that you want to go into, then you can definitely commit to this program. I think that's it for as part of like the overall idea of the program. If you have any specific program questions, you are free to email me. I'm sure they will send out an email with like, my email address. As for other things I do at Augusta University, well, I do research. I research mouse eyes, and we are researching a molecular pathway. It's very interesting. I dissect mouse eyes. It's pretty cool, pretty creepy. I also do volleyball. I'm also the founder of the badminton and pickleball club at Augusta University. And I am in AU Sharkara, which is our Indian fusion dance team. So yes, that is everything from my end. I'm sorry if this is a little bit incoherent, but if you do have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat.
Thank you so much, Ritvik. So we'll have just a few minutes of questions until our speaker, Dr. Sneha, can join us. So Arya and Shashant, if you could ask just maybe 1 or 2 questions for the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, okay, so, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions on the Zoom and on YouTube. So one of the questions I think a lot of people want to know is, like, currently there's a senior in the chat or in this Zoom call, and they're saying, was the transition from high school to college difficult? So if any of you want to go ahead and answer that, you can go ahead.
Okay, since I'm a college freshman, I'll just go ahead and answer that. I still have like flashbacks from like high school still, but like thing is, from high school into college, it's definitely a big step, I would say, but it's also very different because now coming into college, you're more independent and you have more freedom. And I would personally say because of the grading scale in classes, it's like harder to get a GPA than it was in high school because the professors, they only have like tests. Their main like weightage is only based on the test. They don't really have many projects. And like in high school, you had a test like coming up like every like week, but here our tests are always spaced out. There are only like 3 tests and that's your whole grade in one class. There are 5 tests, that's your whole grade. They're not giving many like opportunities. That's why it's really hard to get a GPA in college compared to like high school, but definitely like a big step. And you'll obviously like learn and just blend in into college. You'll know what to do. You just follow everyone else. So honestly, it's not that difficult because you're just going to learn along the way and then you'll forget that you even went to high school because high school into college is definitely a big step, I would say.
Yeah, thank you for that answer as well. That's a good answer. I think like, yeah, obviously the transition is going to be difficult, but you can, deal with it. That's what they're saying. I think I got 2 questions on whether you can make a living out of music and singing and whether there's a professional college in Georgia for music or singing. So do any of you guys know about this?
Yeah, I can go ahead and answer that. So for making a living out of music and singing, the realistic answer to that is for most people, it will not be your primary source of income because of how rigorous it is. And I mean, to put it simply, a lot of people can play music, and what makes you actually be able to make a living in the field is, to put it bluntly, how good you are and how different you are. For example, for me, to get to where I am teaching music, I practice every day. I mean, I was practicing right before we joined this call. So I play a lot in order to keep the skills that I need to be able to make a living. If you're willing to commit to that and get your skills to be to a point where they're better than a lot of other people, and you're willing to make yourself unique, then yes, you can make a living. And it probably will be less money than you'd like at the start, just because in order to get a living, you're going to be taking on gigs, stuff like that, where you're playing one-off things at like bars, at churches, stuff like that. And you just won't be able to get paid as much as something like a computer science degree, for example. That's just something that you'll have to expect coming in, trying to get a music degree. If you do want to do that and you want music to become your job, then you can try that and see how it goes. As for whether or not there's a good college in Georgia for that, Reinhardt University is nearby that I know that is good for music. UGA has a fantastic music department there. Kennesaw State University also has a great music department. And then, of course, there's the big names like Berkeley University and Juilliard that you could also try and look into and maybe go and apply to. I also real quick got a question from a direct message to me asking if I went to GSU honors. I did not. I just went straight into normal GSU. I would recommend that you take whatever gets you the best GPA and gets you the classes that you need to take in order to transfer to GT so that you can get out of Georgia Tech as quickly as possible. I hope that answers those questions.
All right, yeah, I think that was a great response. in general, yeah, making a living is difficult, but you can do it if you're unique and special. That's what Keisha is trying to say. And also, yeah, UGA and Berkeley, also great colleges for music. Yeah, that was a great response. Other than that, I think one person's asking, is the 7-year medical program to earn pre-med or medical? I think we have one person taking med here, right? So do you want to go ahead and answer that?
Mhm. So the 7-year medical program is to get both your Bachelor's of Science in Cell Biology and your MD. So it's to get both of them. So you're going to get both your undergraduate degree and your Master's in Medicine.
Yeah, that was great. One question. So we also gathered questions before Zoom meeting. So one question I saw pop up a lot was about the FAFSA. So I know like the FAFSA is one of the most dreaded parts of the college application, and in general, it's a very complicated process. So if you guys can talk about, like, in general, how you completed the FAFSA and like what specific things we should watch out for, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can give my experience with it. And then if anyone else has had a different experience, I'm sure they can chime in. For me, the biggest thing was just remembering to get it done on time, because you do have a deadline, and pretty much every single time it's at a weird time. So you just have to be ready to get it done as soon as you get the thing that the FAFSA has come out for the next year. Because if you wait, you might forget, and then you're just out that loan. Another thing that I would watch out for is making sure that the loan you pick is the one that you want. Some of the loans that come in will be like, will start garnering interest immediately, whereas some of the loans will only start doing that after you graduate with your undergraduate degree. So I would make sure that the one you're choosing is the one that you want to be choosing at that time, and that you're cognizant of what you're choosing.
So my story was definitely way different because I actually didn't fill out the FAFSA at all because I didn't want a loan. Like I said, I don't want to end in debt when I'm going to graduate school. So like, and FAFSA was mainly for taking out a loan. So instead of that, I just filled out the other requirements and applications needed for the Zell Miller and Hope Scholarship. And I didn't want to have a loan because then after that, because since I want to go to graduate school, my future goals are different than most people who want to just go to the workforce industry like after 4 years. So since I want to go to graduate school, I didn't want to be like focusing on paying back the debt that I would be doing in undergrad. That's why I didn't take out a loan.
Yeah, I think that was some really good insight on both of those. So I'm going to stop with the questions for a while because we actually have a fourth speaker that's going to present now. So if that speaker wants to take over, we can.
Yeah, so I'll introduce her really quick. So our final speaker is Dr. Sneha Rajendran, and she's a doctor in residency in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She went to college at the University of Pittsburgh and medical school at Vanderbilt University. And today she'll be discussing the lifestyle as a resident physician and how to get involved in college as a pre-med. Please welcome Dr. Sneha Rajendran.
Thanks, Shreya. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Sneha. I was going to start out with talking just a little bit about life as a pre-medical student. So I think you all are probably at the stage in your lives where you're considering maybe what to look for in college if you're interested in the medicine track. One thing that's a very common misconception, I think, among high schoolers, and I definitely have this misconception as well, is that people say that you need to do like a biology major, a neuroscience major, something in the science interested in pre-medicine. But this is absolutely not the case. In fact, I think it's more and more common now that people are actually choosing to major in things like economics or history, whatever is interesting to you, as long as you complete the list of pre-medicine classes, you can still apply into medicine regardless of what you major in. So, for example, I went to school here at the University of Pittsburgh, and I did a double major in biology and Spanish. So I also did a minor in gender studies. So I think it's really important to choose to study what you think is the most interesting to you, the things that you're most passionate about, because that kind of comes through to the places that you're applying to when you're interviewing for medical school. Some other things that are really important to know as far as being a pre-med. So kind of caveat to that previous point is that if you do choose a science major, it'll probably be easier for you to include the pre-medicine classes as part of your like a biology degree. There's probably be more overlap there as opposed to something in the like political science or journalism, etc. But it definitely can be done. So if you are interested in, if you're worried about having like no science in your college classes, aside from the pre-med classes, you can definitely do a double major, like I just mentioned, or you can also add on a minor, even several minors, depending on what program you choose and what your college is kind of known for as far as its strengths in various fields. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about as a life as a pre-med is kind of getting involved with extracurricular activities. So a lot of people will probably tell you that it's very important to do research, especially basic science research, which is what we call research when you probably think of like a doctor in a white coat in a laboratory with like pipettes and medical instruments and things like that. That's definitely one kind of research, but there's many other types of research that are not necessarily in a laboratory setting that are just as valuable and just as beneficial to you in your career, and also just as impressive on your resume. So you can do clinical research, which basically can be done from an office or even from home. You can do research in basically any field or any kind of area that you're interested in, as long as you have good mentors that can support you through that process. And then other extracurricular activities that are really important are showing that you're interested in medicine. So not just the research aspect, but also looking into getting actual hands-on experience with patients. So whether that's volunteering in like your local clinic or potentially signing up to volunteer in a hospital, those are going to be extremely valuable and will show that you're committed to life in medicine and getting your hands getting your feet wet, I guess, with patient care. And then the final aspect of your extracurricular, so there's research is the first one, and then there's the clinical experiences. The third kind of big bucket is going to be your leadership experience. So any sort of organization that you're part of within college will be useful for that, but especially organizations that you're part of where you have some sort of leadership role and can demonstrate that you organized events or put together various kind of like fundraisers or whatever it is that you are contributing towards your school doing for other people. That also demonstrates that you are fit to be not just a leader, but potentially a leader within medicine as well. So I can kind of pivot now into talking more about kind of the medical process. I don't know if any of you are familiar with life in medicine. It's a pretty long road. It's quite a long road, actually. I'm currently in medical residency, which means I am a doctor, I'm a physician, but I still have 3 years kind of before I'm able to practice on my own with a license anywhere. So medical school is kind of in the middle. So the first step is obviously college, where you can major again in anything that you want, as long as you take the pre-med required classes. Then the second step is medical school, and then finally you enter residency, which so college is 4 years, medical school is 4 years, and then residency can be anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 years, depending on what program you choose. And then some programs even have a fellowship after that. So it's quite a long road, but I think it's definitely worth it. It's especially worth it if you're kind of in it for the right reasons, that you're interested in patient care and that kind of thing. And then kind of getting into that. So I suspect some of you may be interested in medicine, but you're not quite sure if it's the right fit for you, if there's other things kind of out there. I think the most valuable thing for me, which helped me realize that medicine is what I wanted to choose, is getting involved with patient care as early as possible. So even now in high school, if you're able to reach out to local clinics, like as a high schooler, I was able to volunteer with like a physical therapy clinic that was nearby my home. It wasn't necessarily, like medical visits, but it was still some exposure into potentially seeing patients. That was really beneficial for me. That helped me realize that that's kind of something that's really what I'm interested in, kind of the intersection of both science and the scientific method, but applied to patients and communication and kind of people skills, empathy, all of that stuff. And then I see there's a couple questions that Shreya had sent me here. How to manage time as a medical resident. So life in residency is very busy. I'm sure you all feel life in high school can be very busy as well. So I think one of my biggest life lessons is to realize what is important to you and to try to make time for what you find important to you on a day-to-day basis, regardless of how busy it feels. So for example, for me, I like to read. So I try to take like 5 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes at least every night to like read a little bit. And then I'm also really into doing like something physical, some kind of physical activity. So like reading or sorry, not reading. Reading is not physical. Yoga or like running or something kind of every morning. So even through medical school, which is very busy, and residency, which is even busier, it's important to keep in mind the things that kind of make you human, make you a person outside of your academics, outside of your job. Experiences as a resident. So medicine can be quite demanding, not just on your academic skills, but also on your emotional empathy and your patience. I think those are really varied and kind of hard to describe. I think the further you get in your training, the more you kind of get a sense for that. And then funding for medical school, there's definitely scholarships available. So kind of similar to the college application process. There's merit-based and need-based scholarships for medical school. Not really a whole lot more to say about that. I think each kind of school has its own special scholarships. So for example, the school that I went to, Vanderbilt, they did offer very, very decent scholarships for a lot of the students that get accepted there. And then common to switch residency fields. It's possible to switch residency fields. It's extremely uncommon, but it can be done. The biggest reason why it's not done is just because of the time commitment to start out with one residency program and then switch to a different one. So that's kind of what I have. I'm happy to take any questions from Shreya or from anybody else in the audience if there's anything.
Well, you are our last speaker, so thank you for taking the time out of your day to share this valuable information. I know I definitely learned a lot about the pre-med college track and residency. We can go over any questions if you need to, but if not, you can go ahead because I know you're at work, so we can share your email address if you would like us to do that instead.
Shriyakana, we just have a little bit more time, right? While she's still here, let's see if audience have any questions. If they didn't, post it over there, that's fine. Now that they heard from her, from Dr. Sneha, if they want to unmute and ask her questions directly, that is also fine. Okay, I guess there is nothing else. Okay, yeah, please proceed then. Just want to make sure if someone wants to talk to her directly.
Yeah, I can ask a question if nobody has.
Sure, that would be awesome. Thanks, Anil.
Yeah. So yeah, Sneha, you have a sibling who did an engineering and who is younger than you and already started earning. So how that impacts on your mental psyche that he is already independent, you still have a long way to go to?
That's a good question.
That's a very valid question, Uncle. So number one, and before I forget, I shared my email in the chat. So please, anybody reach out to me if you think of any questions, if I can be of any help in the medical field. I will say now that I actually am earning money as a resident, it's a little bit less of a strain. But when I was in medical school, spending money while he was younger than me and earning money, it was a little bit didn't feel super great. But I think it's definitely, it's a misconception that people choose medicine for the money. If you're truly interested only in money, there's plenty of much easier pathways to get money. I think medicine, obviously, like it's a when you're finished with all your training, it's a comfortable lifestyle. People don't struggle for money once you're in the medical field, but if money is your motivating factor, you should not be in medicine.
Thank you.
We have a question from the audience. Says, what kind of research in high school is good for the medical pathway?
I think any kind of research exposure in high school is excellent. When I was in high school, was in a lab, kind of a basic science lab. Do you all understand? I don't know. So I tried to explain basic science earlier. It's basically like there's wet labs and dry labs. So basic science is anything where you're like involved with like cell culture, microbiology, bacteria, organisms, even like mice, that kind of thing. Those are all basic science labs where you're looking at oftentimes like genetics or kind of, like looking it more hands-on. Whereas dry labs or clinical labs, so kind of like theoretical, kind of analytical. You can even do like again, clinical research is more of a dry lab, or like literally any fields, like mathematics, anything like that. I think any kind of exposure that you're interested in high school is good. I think it's good if you have the time and energy and resources to maybe even try a couple of different labs and see what you're most interested in. That way you can kind of pursue one particular area to focus on and kind of really shine in college.
I'd like to add something to that. So something that would like be really helpful. One of my friends did research in high school as well, and he did it at multiple different labs. So as Ms. Sneha was saying, so what you could do is like just definitely like if you are interested in research and you think that this could be a field that you're interested in, like medicine, you can just go and email like professors at the universities, and by doing that, like if some of them are like willing to let you into their lab, that is a great way to get experience in like the science, like especially the micro like side of like medicine. It's like there's like the macro side, which is actually practicing medicine and seeing patients. But then there's like the micro, which is like the clinical, the research, the little nitty-gritty. So yeah, definitely reach out to other college professors whose research might interest you, and see if they would be willing to, take you in.
Thank you, Ritvik. Guys, any other questions?
One more for.
Never mind, you can go.
Okay, one more for Dr. Sneha. Do people get skeptical about being treated by residents?
Great question. Typically, no. So the experiences that I've had here so far, patients actually prefer to be on resident teams because they feel that there's more people taking care of them. In our hospital, we have medical students, we have residents with like lower level residents, senior level residents, fellows, and the attending physician. So you introduce yourself. I mean, I introduce myself as one of the doctors on your team, and they're typically very comfortable with learners. I think the only time that we see some kind of hesitation is if patients are particularly nervous about a certain procedure or something kind of more like hands-on that a resident might be doing, but there's always appropriate supervision. So patients are typically well assured by that. And if for some reason they're extremely uncomfortable still, like for example, if they have to get like a spinal tap where they stick a needle kind of into the spine to get a sample of fluid, if they are extremely squeamish and very hesitant, they can request that an attending physician, which is like the kind of boss level position, that they're the only ones that do it. But usually patients are very appreciative, and typically the attending physicians also kind of advocate for us and explain that we've had a lot of training and that we're very well equipped to be part of their medical care.
Hi, I'm Shravanti. My son is going to be rising sophomore next year, so he's doing pursued aerospace and aeronautical engineering pathways. Okay, am I audible, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
So in sophomore year, he just continuing his pathways, but he's really curious to do any summer enrichment programs related to that, to enhance his skills on that particular pathway, aerospace engineering. So can you suggest if you know anything for the summer?
Yeah. So he can definitely reach out to like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, those like famous like workforce industries. They offer like internships for like high school students and college students. So that can be like an extracurricular. You need to check in like when the application is due, because they're usually like high applicants that like apply to like those aerospace engineering industries like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. And you can also try for NASA. NASA also applies for gives opportunities like high school students. They're like high school internships that he can work for. I actually applied one in college, but I didn't actually get in. But as an aerospace engineer, there are many opportunities in the NASA field that he can apply to.
Lockheed Martin, he actually done when he was in elementary. I don't know about that high school for high school students what are the options they have, but we definitely explore on that. NASA actually he don't have SSN. So do they accept that students who don't have social security number?
So I
So
actually went through that specific thing. NASA doesn't, as far as I've been able to tell, NASA does not take anybody that doesn't have that. So he would, if he's trying to go to NASA, he would have to wait until he gets, I believe it's a citizenship.
Exactly.
I could be off there. It might just be permanent residency, but I believe it's citizenship.
Yeah, so yeah, most of the fields, not only defense, as of I heard, NASA only give the priority for the US citizens. It's very difficult for non-citizens, even they have green card, to get into that NASA programs. So I just start
In
to
the
check.
mean, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
In the
fine.
meantime, though, I would suggest that he tries to get certified in some of the things that he'll use in the workforce. I've worked in engineering. I worked in automotive engineering. I think it's important that he tries to, because engineering right now is shifting from like a hands-on thing to more of computer-based stuff where you're doing a lot of CAD. I think it would be very beneficial for him to get a certification in something like SolidWorks, which is one of the industry standard 3D modelers that we use. It would be very good for him to go and figure out how to use that, talk to his school, and then get certified in it. I'm looking to get certified in it as well, and it's something that I use now. So I think it's something that he would also benefit from having.
But they will have some criteria, right? He's just freshman this year. So do they accept in the summer or a sophomore?
It's totally fine to be a freshman. I started using it when I was a freshman in high school. The way that the certification usually works, the way it worked at my high school, was I learned the program on my own after talking to the school about how to get it and use it. And then I applied to get certified, and then I took the test at school.
Okay, what is that name you specified, and how to reach out that?
The program I did that I use in the current industry standard for the most part is called SolidWorks. I can type it in the chat. If he reaches out to his engineering department at the high school, they probably have already had it. But I would definitely like recommend that he reaches out there about getting access to the program at home so he can learn. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well.
Yeah. So he is currently on that aerospace and aeronautical is his first pathway in his freshman year, and second pathway is mechatronics. He is aiming to pursue rocket science engineering, but we don't know that the path, how difficult it is. But we want to try. He wants to try his best to work on that. So I hope this will be helpful for him for this certification.
If he's doing mechatronics, then it will be very beneficial for him to get a 3D modeling certification.
Awesome. Thank you. Keshav, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. It really helps, and I appreciate your help. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, I had some questions for Keisha.
Yeah.
You said you're building a telescope at Georgia Tech. For that, you need to know coding, right? Do they like at Georgia Tech, being a physics major, do you need coding as a major requirement to start doing that?
So there's two parts to that. For the telescope, what I'm specifically doing is actually what I just talked about. I'm actually like physically modeling the telescope construction. I'm working on building a camera mount for our neutron detector. So that's what I'm doing, is like physically putting it together, less than doing the actual code for it. But to be a physics major at GT, it's a little weird because there is a heavy focus on obviously like the computational math and everything, but we also they kind of just expect you to have like some level of knowledge in MATLAB or Python or Mathematica, even though we don't really talk about that too much. So I definitely have been learning that on my own by just having to figure out how to use it while I take these courses.
Oh, okay. Also, do you want to become a roboticist, or your future goals are to like work as a flight director at NASA, right? So after the 4 years, are you just gonna apply to NASA and go there? Or
No,
do you have to
actually,
go?
sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, it's okay. Do you have to go to grad school or?
I'm planning to go all the way to get my PhD and then probably do some post-PhD research before I even apply.
Okay, so PhD and postdoctorate.
Yes.
Okay, and then try for NASA.
Yeah, that's NASA is more of like a destination for me than it is where I want to be immediately. My goal right now is to focus on being able to do research and really grow the field.
Okay, all right. And also, have you thought that getting a GPA is like really hard at Georgia Tech?
So this is for the physics program is notoriously one of the more difficult programs at GT. It's easily been the hardest that I've worked in my life so far, and my GPA isn't as good as it has been, or as it was in high school, for example, by the end of my high school career. So yes, the GPA is definitely more difficult. However, in talking to professors and advisors about getting into grad school, as far as I've heard, the connections that I've been making with professors, like my research professor right now, working on building this telescope, and so on and so forth, the connections that I've made and the quality of research that I'm going to help put out are going to speak more, according to them, than specifically the GPA I got. Because a lot of grad schools, they don't really, as far as I've been told, don't really care about like the grade. For example, you get an English 2 if you're applying for an astrophysics major, because that's not really that important. So if you excel in the courses that you want to do research in, I've heard that that's more important to them than just getting like really good grades and not doing research. Obviously, that's not a problem for you since you are doing research, but the GPA is valid, but it's not the only important thing.
Okay, so what research are you currently doing on? Like, is it astrophysics related?
Yes, we're working on building a neutron detector right now that will literally, like, it's going to be going out in Ohio probably this summer, and we're going to be imaging neutron detection from extrasolar stuff.
Oh, extrasolar, like exoplanets?
We're looking at right now, it's not very like strict as to what we're looking at, but we're mostly going to probably be looking at deep space objects of some kind, probably things that are emitting like high energy radiation.
Oh, okay. So have you been doing it since like what, for the past 2 years, this research?
I started this semester for that program, actually. We haven't had a telescope built for that yet, so they just brought us on specifically this semester to start the whole thing, build the telescope, then get it out there, hopefully by the summer, and then start imaging and collecting data and doing the science by hopefully fall.
Oh, okay, wow. And is that going to turn into a paper publication? Or?
We're looking at that, yes.
Oh, okay. That's cool. All right, thank you.
No problem.
To know about you, Keshav Anand. It's good to know about you through this session. Keshav. Yeah. So actually, I have a question. So when my son is going to apply for aerospace engineering on his 11th grade, do they look for his SSN to accept his undergrad program?
When I got in, I'm sure I'm probably not the only one here who's had, like, I mean, everyone's applied. For me, I had my social security by the time I got into college. So I just used that and gave them my permanent residence, or not permanent residency, sorry, but my social security and my EAD and all of that information when I applied. So they took that instead of taking like the other stuff. If you're applying without a social security number, you just have to apply as, they'll tell you you're an international student, even if you're not. I've lived here for 17 years and they had me as an international student.
Yes.
So what you do there for the money thing is you have to apply with another form that lets them know that even though you're international, you've lived here and you should be getting the in-state tuition.
Yeah, we are also living for almost 10 years, but without green card, did my son able to get the social security number? It's on the process.
You get it when you get your EAD.
EID, oh, once my, okay, that's great, that's great. Okay, that's good to know. So if he has the SSN, he is good to, when he applied the colleges, that's, yeah, that would be good for him, right? Especially
Yeah, I mean, it's,
yeah, he's very
it's good for him to have it.
Yeah, thank you for the
No problem.
clarification.
See that someone, Siva, has raised his hand. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, thanks for unmuting. A question is to Keshav Anand. Is it audible? I'm audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I Keshav, sorry. The main thing is my daughter got admitted in Georgia State University, and we are looking on the pathway that what you taken to Georgia Tech. She got admitted in computer science. Okay, would like to know whether she can move to second year or third year, or what are the prerequisites for moving from?
Yeah, so computer science is, the way I got in was I took a pathway called the Arts and Sciences pathway. That was what was offered to me, and it requires, there's pathways listed on GT's website that say like what the transfer requirements are. If you don't do one of those pathways, it's a little different. I had a friend that transferred from UGA to Georgia Tech under computer science. I've actually had several of those friends have done that. It is certainly possible to transfer in her first year, after her first year, sorry. I would, if it doesn't happen though, I wouldn't hesitate to try again. I had a friend that tried to get in at GT, didn't get in, tried his first year to transfer, didn't get in, tried his second year to transfer, also didn't get in, but he tried his third year and now he's at GT and he's considered it a very good idea, especially for computer science. If you're not pursuing grad school after doing a CS like bachelor's degree, it's a very good idea to end your career somewhere. Like it gives you a paycheck straight out of undergrad is a pretty big deal.
Okay. Is there any specific program, rep program, anything we need to take it out in the college, an UGA or any undergraduate or any BS, any majors we can take it, we can move to Georgia Tech?
It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
is it? Okay.
Yeah, so the only requirement that you need to transfer to Georgia Tech is maintain a 3.3 GPA in that school and then have 30 credits and then you can get transferred.
Yeah,
okay.
For me, it was with the conditional acceptance, it was a 3.2 GPA, and then I had to get 30 credit hours and I had to take specific courses. So if she's got a pathway that she's taking, or if she's trying to apply with a pathway, I would make very clear that she has taken the exact courses that she need and those courses transfer to GT.
Okay, so once we got to the college, the transfers, they won't require for the school GPA, is it? Because school GPA she's having good, but anyhow she didn't get it out on GT now. So probably when going to a second year, they will look only for the college GPA or they will consider the school GPA also.
They'll only look at the college GPA. The school GPA only matters to get in. And then from there, it's your college GPA.
Okay, fine. Really, thanks a lot for it. If possible, if you can put your Gmail email ID, so in case of any references, if you don't mind, we'll contact through email. Okay, so that will be helpful. Okay. Thank you.
Link my email,
thanks.
so I'm sure they'll send it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, I had some questions for you, Keisha. Keisha, maybe I should just text you personally, but it's just like related to my major. Did you apply to like REUs? Like, when did you start applying?
I could go ahead and just do that. Like, it doesn't really matter like what time you do that. This is really just good for like any major. If you're looking to do research in a major, don't wait to do research. It is if you're going into a field where you're trying to do research, it's going to be pretty saturated no matter what you're doing, because you're an undergraduate student. The only time that research stops being that saturated is when you're at like the forefront of your field in college, like when you're doing your PhD study, for example. Until then, it's going to be saturated. So go ahead and start early so that you can get into something and then continue doing that.
Okay, so do you have any papers published yet?
I do not, unfortunately. I waited too long, so I couldn't get into any REUs. That's why this semester has been good for me, is because I'm going to be going in and creating a research opportunity and then pursuing that from scratch.
Okay, all right. So you can still do REUs from like, have you like worked in a university like for an REU like over the summer, like other than your school, like other than GSU or GT, like go out of state or like go to another campus and work there?
I haven't pursued it yet. I am thinking about it though, since I do have one extra semester that I have to take. So I do have an extra summer where I'm probably going to be doing that.
Okay, because like this summer I had like a really like big challenge like for decision, because like I got in as a summer transfer at like tech for like mathematics, right? I explained that, and then I also got like a GSU RU, so I actually applied to a lot of RUs, but I didn't get into any of them except for like GSU. So like this summer, like I can only do one, like I can only take summer classes at GT, or I can only do the REU. So like we just thought, like my family and I just thought like the REU is more important than like doing summer classes there. But what do you think?
I think it's totally fair to decide whatever you'd like to do in the future. I think that the summer classes can be important, but it's more about what you're going to do with them. If it's just like any random class, like if it's like Calc 3 or like multivariable or something, I don't think it's that big of a deal to take it at GT. Like you could take that anywhere and you're going to learn the same math. It's not going to change anything. If it was something like related to specifically your core, what you want to know, then at that point, I would consider it a little bit more. But GSU is doing some very cool things over there right now, and specifically astrophysics. I have some friends over there doing that program. So if you do, since I assume you've gone with the REU, I think it is going to be a very good opportunity to go there and actually do what we want to do in the future.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Yep. And definitely having like a paper published back in like high school, would grad schools look at that?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a paper published, it's going to be under your name for the rest of your life. So if you've got papers published, then grad school will see that you have papers published, no matter when those papers were published.
Okay, but I didn't like do it individually. Like I worked with like 5, 6 other people on that research paper.
That's fine, as long as if your name is on that paper, then you're good.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll just save your contact. If I have more questions, I'll just text you on WhatsApp if that's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And if anyone else has any questions for me, it doesn't have to be over my email. You can feel free to ask now.
All right.
Now that colleges are test optional now, how important are extracurriculars for college for people to apply?
Okay, so I actually did not even turn in any of my SAT or ACT scores the time when I applied for college, just because it was test optional. I think that was actually the first year I think COVID really helped me with my college decision process, college applications, because I was able to get into Berkeley, and Berkeley mostly looked at extracurriculars and like leadership positions. That's why I was saying like that just weighed more than the test grades that I had. So depending on the school, like people say like schools don't have a formula, but based on like my experience, and my brother also went to Georgia Tech, and like my brother applied to both Georgia Tech and Berkeley during his time, and Georgia Tech looked at statistics, and even during my time when COVID hit, it went test optional, and I got waitlisted at Tech, but got into Berkeley. So depending on the school, like some schools look at extracurriculars more, so more extracurriculars might matter to them. Well, if you're just trying to stay and go to Tech or UGA, they're mainly just looking at statistics like GPA and your SAT and ACT. So you definitely like turn in your SAT and ACT scores to like Georgia Tech.
As for extracurriculars, just another point I'd like to add on, it's less about how many of them you do and more about what the quality of what you do there is. For example, I have connections at GT's music department. It's a small music department, but there is one there. And I happened to play a concert with one of the people there, and he really enjoyed the way I sounded when he heard me and respected what I was doing. So it's less about the fact that I did a ton of extracurricular stuff, because I really didn't. I only did band and then just a lot of different types of band. So for me, it was less about the number of different extracurricular things I did and more just the fact that I got really good at the ones that I chose to do.
Yeah, I think that was a great response from both of you. One of the questions I got is, how important is doing an internship during high school? Is it really more like good to have on your application, or is like absolutely essential? Is it a must do?
I think that if you're doing an internship in high school, it really only like makes you that much better. As in like, it doesn't like harm you for not doing an internship, but if you do have that internship, you're showing like colleges that you have real world experience in this field that you are applying for, and it only just makes you more competitive.
And I guess a follow up to that, what's the best like time to do an internship in high school?
I did my internship in my senior year of high school.
I did my internship sophomore year of summer, like the end of sophomore year. I actually went to, it was a community service internship. It wasn't anything research related or anything really related to my major. It was just going to India and teaching physics and astronomy through the GATS, like Tamil Nadu Foundation internship at a government girls higher secondary school.
Yeah, for me, I did it in my senior year through high school, something we had called work-based learning there. And I worked in the automotive engineering field. We were building some tubing, exhaust tubing. So that's what I did. Nothing related to physics, even in the slightest, for what I was trying to do. But, excuse me, it built some skills that I use today.
Yeah, I think that was great. So one question I got like directed specifically at Ritwik is the 7-year BSMD program better than doing the BS and MD separately? Or how much better in a sense?
So it depends on your priorities. If you know that if you want to go to medical college, right? So like the MCG is the only public university, medical university in Georgia. And so one of the benefits of that is that I get to pay in-state tuition for medical college, which is around $28,000 a year as opposed to $6,000 a year. Now, if you don't want to go to medical college in Georgia, or you think that you would want to go to your medical college outside, you want to apply to like Harvard Medical School or University of California, San Diego, then I think it would be a better idea for you to do your regular BS and then your MD. So it's basically just what you want to do. For me, I just want to get my medical degree as soon as possible. And something else that Augusta offers is an MD PhD program, which I'm also interested in. So that's something that I'll be applying to in the fall. But it's ultimately like your priorities. Because for me, I wanted to get my medical degree with the least amount of debt possible. And since medical college of Georgia is also, it's not like the worst medical school, it is a very reputable medical school. I can get my degree. I can also do a lot of research in like the surrounding buildings, and I can become a more competitive applicant. So these are all the factors I considered when choosing to go on a direct binding route, 7-year route, as opposed to like going to a different university. Oh, also, if you do the program, like the 7-year medical program, you guaranteed have a seat at the medical program. Given that you do your MCAT, you get your MCAT score, you get your GPA, and you get your volunteer hours. Once you get those 3 things, you have a guaranteed seat at medical school, as opposed to having to apply to like 20 medical schools and fly out to those and interview.
Yeah, I think that was really good on the insight for medical school, right? So if we have any other questions, you can feel free to ask them in the chat if you guys have any.
Hi, Renisha. Earlier she mentioned about some research program she done in Tamil Nadu, right? Something she was, I missed about that.
Oh, I just said the Tamil Nadu Foundation internship where you go teach in India and like in a government in government schools, which I did my end of sophomore year. I just went and taught for like girls in Ashok Nagar in Chennai. I don't know if you're Tamil or not, but
Okay.
in a girls higher secondary school. I just taught physics and astronomy there.
So is it for your college resume or some internship purpose? You did that?
Yes, for college resume, just an internship. That's all.
Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Renisha.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so I got this question from one of the person watching on YouTube live. So they understood that children have to do a lot of extracurricular activities before they enter into college. So they want to know like how many years should this activity continuously be done? Like, can it be just started in high school and then completed for 4 years, or is it something that they should be doing earlier?
I think a lot of extracurricular activities is not the wording that I would choose. They do not need to be killing themselves doing like 7 or 8 different things. It's the important thing, in my opinion, is that they take whatever they like and they do it to a point where they get enriched from it. I like band, so I chose to do band, and I did band for a long time and got really good at it. So that's what got me into college, not doing several different things and killing myself with not having time. I still didn't have time because I did band, but I didn't just do as much as I could get physically put under my belt, because I think it's very important, especially going into high school, that you take care of your mental health. And doing a ton of things and never giving yourself any time to relax and decompress from all of that is really bad for your mental health.
And if it's something that, you know, like as a kid you're interested in, so let's say you're interested in dancing, let's say for example, then, and you have been doing it like as a kid and you want to continue doing it in high school, for sure. It's a great way, it's a great thing that like sets you apart from other people, because it's something that's unique to you as an individual. You like to dance. Now tell these colleges about why you like to dance. You know, has this like impact your life? As for like extracurriculars that start in high school, many people have them. And you know, for me, like Latin was like one of the things that I started in high school and like took it to as much as I could in high school. And it's ultimately depends on, it's not necessarily like as Keisha was saying, it's not about, you know, how many you do or like how short of a time, but it's about how the extracurricular that you've done has impacted you. Because ultimately you can list out your extracurriculars, but in your essays, when you're writing to these colleges, and you're talking about your extracurriculars, they don't want like a sentence about, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this. They would much rather prefer you talk about, oh, I did this one extracurricular and here's how it made me a better person, or how it changed my life, or how it is, you know, how I became interested in it and how it has affected me.
That's great, Ritvik and Keshav. Thank you for the answer. So the same person has just asked one more question. So in case, the person who asked this question, she has a daughter in middle school. So she's been learning dance for the past 5 years. So she's asking if they need some kind of certificate or something to show that she has pursued this for this long.
No, not at all, because I've actually been doing Bharatanatyam since I was 4 years old. And on Common App and Coalition App, when you're applying for colleges at the end of your senior year of high school, they don't need any certification. You just log it in. How many hours did you do this for? And what did you do in this activity? I talked about dance company and how I did like GATS performances and how I've been a dancer for like 13 years in my college application. And you can also talk about it in your essay. Like you can talk about something you're really passionate about. If you're really passionate about dance, you can include that in your college essay and like even those short essays, but you don't need to provide them any proof or evidence or certification for how long you've done it.
If they really care about the certification, you also can put in contacts and they will just contact the person that you've listed there if they really are like that curious about your certifications or how long you've been doing something.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's good. Thank you.
Actually, I also has the same question. My son actually he's learning from violin from past over 4 years, and he's actually learning from a pro musician, and he's putting his efforts to learn the instrument as a quality, not for that in sake of any certifications or anything. So if we want to show it, if we want to use that the instrument journey, so you just need to add on his words in the college resume.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can speak to the music thing because that's how I did it. I would encourage him to go and try out and participate in things like Allstate, the Atlanta Youth Symphony Orchestra, things like that, because they are generally regarded here as like the upper level of activities to do. Getting into Allstate and doing that consistently is important for, like, it's just a big deal in the music realm for where we are, like in Georgia. Doing something like the AYSO and doing well there is also just another easy boost to your college career, and it'll be more enriching for him since he likes what he's doing, I presume, and he's been playing violin for long enough now.
Yeah, we actually checked that Allstate with his teacher, but she's very particular about that quality. So she mentioned if he's able to, I'm going to tell you. So that's why we are not pushing her so much.
He should. I think it's very important that even if he doesn't get in, he does the audition process. Waiting to do that in any case, whether that's applying for college, any of that stuff, not doing it because you think you're not good enough yet is just going to cause you to fail down the road, because those audition processes are stressful, and getting more experience doing that will always lead to a better result.
Understood. Yeah, understood. So the what are the options now he have if he's not attempting that Allstate before the 11th grade?
There's always music competitions that he can do outside of that if he's trying to do it specifically for music. I did one called the KSU Young Artists Competition, and I won second place there when I did it. It's another easy boost to your resume to say that you're doing independent things like that, because that shows colleges that not only do you care about what you're doing, you're willing to also go put yourself in front of other people and do it for them.
Yes. Would you mind to share that details to me?
Sure.
Look into that if they have auditions or any for violin students.
Sure.
Thank you, Keshav.
Shushant and Arya, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, what does the process for applying to colleges look like? Like, I know Renisha was talking about the factors that went into narrowing it down after she got accepted, but what does it look like before? Because I also know there's essays to write in the price for each college.
Yeah, so there are two platforms where you can apply for colleges. It's called Common App and Coalition. Most of the universities that you apply to are on Common App. Only a couple, like UT Austin, I had to apply on Coalition. But their essays are all the same. Like, they have different prompts. So like they open on August of your senior year in high school, where you can start writing your personal essays and then your short essays. Every university requires their own number of essays and like what you want to offer them. and they have their own different prompts on Common App and Coalition. And then you can also list out your extracurriculars, like what you did in the club and your leadership positions. And then you have to list out your GPA and your like test grades. I mean, if it's optional, like for COVID, that's your choice. But just like fill out the Common App and Coalition and like what they require. That's how it looks like.
So one thing I wanted to talk about on college applications, right? I know Keisha was talking about how he thought his essays were really good, right? So Keisha, do you know like how to structure the essay to make it like the best possible? Or like what's some tips regarding the essays that you could give?
Sure. So it's like a 500-word essay. It's not really, like, I hesitate to call it an essay even. It's very short. Like, they don't give you very much space to talk about yourself at all. So I think the most important thing is be honest, but present yourself in a way that is like, that'll make it interesting for them to read too. Because they're going to be processing, if you're applying to a high-level college or really anywhere you apply, they're going to be processing hundreds to thousands of applications as soon as the due date is done. So that there's going to be so many things for them to have to go through, and it's not a lot of people going through and reviewing your applications either. So when you write your essay, make it something that interests the people that read it. Yeah, so it's something that they want to be able to like read through and really understand you and feel like they can see into your story. So if I, for example, for me, I talked about how I went through hardships with my grade because of stuff that happened in my high school career, and how doing something like band really helped me excel and pull my grades up by just getting better at that. Stuff like that, where they can see that you've gone through things in your life. It's not just been you just kind of doing whatever and then getting to college. If you can show that and really like make them interested in what you have to offer, it's always good, since you don't really have a lot of space to talk about yourself.
Yeah, that was really good. I think I think someone just put a question in the chat, and I think it's, does doing volunteering or enrichment programs outside the US, like in India, get counted over US-based programs, or is it vice versa?
It honestly doesn't matter. I just chose to do that community service internship outside just because I was interested in it. So like everyone said, quality over quantity. It's not all the things that you can put on your resume. It's just the things that you're interested in and to show off your passion. So I was passionate about about community service. So I went to go teach because I really like teaching and tutoring. So I just wanted an experience outside to like travel and like teach younger girls in India to see how they think about like physics and astronomy, and like focus more on like woman empowerment. So that's what I did. But a lot of my friends during that time, they did internships in America, like in the US, but it doesn't really matter as long as like you're showing off your passion. Where you do it doesn't matter, whether it's US or outside.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's like no weight, like, oh, like this program in the US is better than this program in India. It's more of just like the way that you present it. So like, for example, if you learn stuff, like I went and chatted a doctor for a little bit in India, for like maybe like 10 hours. And I just put that on my application because I was like, I mean, I learned some stuff. I still watched a doctor, and this was in a different country. So it's something else that just adds a little bit more, you know, if a little bit more diversity to your thing. It sets you out a little bit. But again, there's not like, oh, definitely if you do this in India, it's more. It's nothing like that. It's just how you present it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, unless the place is specifically important to whatever it is that you're doing, it's less about where you did it and more about what you did.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great answer. So we're very close to ending, so we'll probably take one or two questions. If you have any last minute questions that you'd like to ask them now, because we won't have much time to answer. Obviously, you can always contact our amazing guest speakers at their emails or contact information that they provided. So if you have any additional questions, you can ask them there.
Yeah, I have one last question. So, my son in his middle school, so through one charity from India, they actually initiated a program to helping the youth who is looking for the jobs and facing that communication difficulty, English. So they asked volunteers who are willing to help them for them improve their communication skills. So he participated in that program and he gained that certification. How does he can able to add that in his high school resume?
So he just has to add it on his resume, his college resume or like LinkedIn. And when he's applying, when it comes to applying, there's Common App and Coalition. So he just has to log that in, like I was stating before. Like there'll be like an extracurriculars tab where you can just talk about what he participated in and just log in the number of hours there.
Sure. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Renisha.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, if there are no further questions in the poll, Shushant and Arya, please confirm. If there is nothing else, then I would like to invite Mr. Erilan Ramarajan. He's our chairman, GATS chairman this year, to share a few words. Erilan, are you there?
Yeah, question.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Kritika and the EC team 2022 for organizing this awesome program. We need to do more of this. See, I have 3 daughters, and I am clueless till I come to, them in 11th grade and 12th grade. What do I have to do? I'm scratching my head trying to figure it out. It's a lot of unknowns for all of us, and everybody has to learn through experience, and then it probably helps the second kid and the third kid, but the first kid is always the trial. So things like this is going to be huge use for parents like us, and I think everybody has to use these things. Every information that you gain from each of your experience is very valuable for all the kids. And Indians, we are very competitive in general. We try to keep it ourselves. It's like, I want to be the best kind of a scenario, which is great. But then the problem is when you go to work and business, you have to collaborate with a lot of people, and you have to exchange knowledge and expose a lot of things that and then gain more of the same from the other people. But everybody's holding on to a small set of information, and then they try really hard to succeed, which is good. But when you collaborate and share the knowledge, it's going to be a lot more valuable. So I think all our kids, we are all identified as desis, right? So one group. So we all have to share with each other. You may end up in MIT, another person Georgia Tech, another person in Harvard or whatever. But you all have to share the information, and feel free to give as much to your to the junior kids and other kids that are coming in, aspiring to be the best. So everybody benefits from the whole thing. So I just want to say that, and thanks for all the kids who came and gave so much information. Appreciate it. Thanks, Kritika, and thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, Easy, for joining us. Yeah, before we call Mr. Sendil to give the thank you note, I just want to thank the speakers once again who joined us today. So Keshav, Renisha, and Ritik, and Dr. Sneha, thank you very, very much for taking time in your busy schedule to share your knowledge. And also the GATS tutoring team members, Shreya and Adi, who were the MC, and Arya and Shushant for being the moderators today. Thank you guys so much. So without further delay, I invite Mr. Sendil to share a few words.
Thank you, Kritika. So as Easy said, this is a wonderful event, and especially I'm glad to see that there are so many questions and so much knowledge within the community and within the kids who are participated today. So I'm learning along with you all, because as you know, that most of us studied in a different environment and different school system. So there is a lot to learn for us. So it's glad that I'm able to listen to all of this and learn. And every time I come to these one of these information sessions. Every year I'm learning. So I thought when I think that I know some, but next session when I come, I learn some more. So it's glad that especially, so we have this wide, very varied experience from different areas of interest. So UGA to Georgia Tech to 7-year med program to a med program. So we had thanks for the GATS youth committee to get this wide-ranging panel to come onto this, and also all the participants. So a lot of questions, which some of them I might not have thought myself, but yeah, so I learned many from the questions too. So it's a great event. So the one thing I wanted to add is that as in the beginning, Kritika shared, there are a lot of initiatives that are being thought through and worked out. But if you think that there is some other areas, yeah, feel free to suggest and provide that how do you think we should be able to do it. And if that is something we can do, definitely along with the GATS leadership we have here, Kritika and Easy and rest of the EC, we will work with and see if we can accommodate all the requests. Okay, so it's a great program. Keep continuing, and we have this amazing summer boot camp coming up. And this is, as the name suggests, this is the information session 1. So there will be multiple throughout the year. This is today we learned about the experiences. Then our seniors and others will be coming and sharing the information about how to apply, how to select the college, and all those things. So we will be having more of these information sessions. Great one. Thank you all. And thanks for this information session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandil. I should have probably given an intro about you before calling. Sorry, I missed that. Sandil has been chairman in GATS before, and also he's one of the founders of the GATS Youth Committee. So all these initiatives that we are having here now is due to his efforts that was done a few years back. So thank you so much, Sandil.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also I missed mentioning 2 names. You must have seen all the flyers circulate. It was done by 2 of our students. One is Shri, and the other one is Sudiksha. So thank you both. And also I would like to thank Peter, who's from our GATS tech team. He's been very patient the last 2 hours. The request came to him in the last minute, but still he stayed with us and helped us through the session. So thank you very much, Peter. And before I end, just one thing I wanted to share screen. So if anyone wants to take a picture, you can. This is the contact information of the speakers today. I just took it from the chat and I just put it in over here. So please feel free to reach out to them. They're all great resources. If you didn't feel like asking a question here, you can always feel free to reach them there. Okay. And we'll be doing more of these sessions. So please, if you have some suggestions as to what topics you would like to hear in the future, just let us know and we'll work towards it. Thank you all again.